Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Now today we're gonna take a look at one pretty instructive and interesting game in the English opening which I played today. So it was a 3+2 game, a blitz game, but I played that one really well. So let's just see what happened. I played c4, the English opening. He played e5, I played g3, he played c5. I just developed my light squared bishop. He developed his knight. I played knight to c3. He played d6. So it's kind of a Botvinnik setup for black against my English opening. Against this setup here, I can either play with e4. This would be also one great possibility, and knight d2 with plans of castles and f4 maybe. Also just putting the knight to d5 square. But I decided to play without e4 here, and we're gonna see what the plans are here for white. So he played bishop to d7, and I played knight to f3. And after bishop to e7, I just castled. Now here we have to stop for a second and think about what are the plans for white and what are the plans for black. Black can expand on the king side with moves like f5, maybe try to prepare some attack against my king. That's where he has play. And my play is going to be on the queen side, because as you know, my pawn chain starts at this side of the board, so I should play on this side of the board. So probably with a3 and b4, maybe rook b1 also. Just trying to open lines here and get some play, create some problems, some weaknesses here. So these are the plans here. And he went for f5 straight away. I played rook to b1, like we said, just following our plan with a3 and b4. He played knight f6, I played a3, I'm all just ready to play b4, and he stopped me with a5. Now this is interesting here, because he's kind of stopping my plan. I can't play b4, because, well, he just takes everything here, and it just doesn't work. So I have to figure out a way how to still prepare this pawn break, because if I don't do this pawn break here, then he's probably going to beat me here on the king side, because that's where he has play, and I have play on the queen side. So I absolutely have to make this break possible. But how to do this? We have to get another attacker of this b4 square, and we do this by playing knight to e1. Now as you can see, knight goes to c2 from where it supports b4, so then we can just push b4. So it's a very nice idea here in this position. He played h6, probably just intending to play g5. I played knight to c2 and he played g5. Now computer says it's not a very nice move because it also weakens himself, and I'm also really fast with the queenside play. As you can see, b4, we just go for it. Yeah, our goal is to be faster on the queen side than he is on the king side, and so we're successful doing that. Now our threat at the moment is, if he does nothing, is just to take and then take this pawn here on b7. So he has to do something. Now b6 would be answered with b5, just getting more space here, kind of blocking things here on the queen side, but the point is that we can, for example, just get the exchange if we want, and this would be really nice for white. So he didn't play that, he just took here, I recaptured, and he took, and I took. Now what is the point of our play here that we played a3 and b4 and everything? We can see that we've created a weakness here on b7, which we're going to attack. So yeah, okay. So here he just took my knight, I recaptured, and he played the bishop to c6. Now here I didn't really want to, trade these bishops, because, I want to keep my light squared bishop here, also protects my king, and it's active on this long diagonal. So that's why I found the idea of knight d5. Knight is nicely centralized, also looks at some pieces here and some squares, and if he wants to take it, I mean, he can, but if he wanted to take it, it would probably be better to take it with the knight and keep, the bishop. even though it loses the pawn. But what he did is he took it with the bishop, and I just recaptured it. Now I have two bishops, and again, this pawn is really weak. It's hanging at the moment, so he can't really castle. I mean, he can if he wants, but okay, he played queen d7, I played queen b3, putting more pressure on this pawn, and now he just castled. Now, it was possible to protect this pawn here, but this is really passive, and I don't know for how long this defense is going to hold, because we're just gonna play e4 here. I mean, we would play e4 and then d4. If you open things up here, then black's king is going to be really weakened, you know. We open up the center here, because he pushed so many pawns here, then his king is going to be weakened here after we open up the center. So this would be really bad for black again. So he just gave up the pawn, which of course I took. Also gains a tempo on the queen, so it's really beautiful. He has to move back, and now bishop to d2. Now, what is my plan in this position? You can see that I'm a pawn up, but this is not the main feature here of the position, because these pawns are doubled here also. The point is that my rook is on the 7th, and I'm preparing to bring another rook on the 7th, which would be very, very brutal, as you know. So, okay, he played rook to f7, trying to, you know, defend on the 7th rank. I played rook to c1, like we said. He played king to g7, which is probably not the best. Just, you know, this king is going to be in some trouble. I just played rook to c7. And now he played f4. By the way, this position is just really bad for black. It's like +4 for white. Also, if you were thinking about knight to e8, just trying to get the rook away, then just rook to d7. And after queen to c8, the only move for the queen, we just take the bishop. So this doesn't work. He played f4. And now I spotted the idea of just getting my bishop here somehow. Because then the rook, if the rook moves, we just take the bishop for free. And the king is of course in big trouble. And if the rook doesn't move, we just take the rook and win the exchange, and remain this pressure here on the 7th rank. But I was looking at bishop to h3, but then I saw g4. So I needed to get another way to e6. And I just played bishop to e4. Maybe it's not the best move, but it's a really nice idea, I think. Well, he can take my bishop now if he wants, but when I recapture, still, as you can see, this is really just a winning position for white. I mean, look at these rooks here, and I'm also a pawn up. Of course, these pawns are on the dark squares, so I could also in the endgame attack them with my bishop. He can't attack my pawns here on the light squares. So this is just winning for white. But he didn't take my bishop. He took on g3, I recaptured. Of course, I didn't want to recapture this pawn, you know, just it makes my king a bit weaker, you know, just it's better to take it with the h pawn, of course. So here he tried to exchange one pair of rooks, because these rooks are really annoying, which I understand. I played queen to c4, maybe not the best, but I thought this is still pretty good. I think the computer suggests rook to c6, because taking, of course, is just bad, because this passed pawn is just too strong here. But okay, I played queen to c4. He went back because, okay, the rook is attacked, but of course it would have been better to just take the rook in this case, you know. Why do we move the rook here and then when it's attacked just move back? It doesn't make much sense. And it also gives me time, as you see, to play bishop to f5, and of course bishop to e6 after that, and it's just going to be winning. It's +7 here, so it's really bad for black. He went back, I played bishop here, and now here he gave me a check, I played here, he played king to f6, really ugly looking move. I just took the rook here, he recaptured, and I'm just an exchange up. His king is really weak and these rooks are going to destroy him here. So I just played queen to g4 quickly. Nice idea, you know, attacking the king on the light squares, as you can see. He has light squared weaknesses, he doesn't have a light squared bishop also to protect them. So here he played rook to a2, attacking my bishop. I gave a check and then moved my bishop to b4. Now he was feeling a lot of pressure here on the 7th rank, so he played his king to h8, and after queen to e6, I mean, what can he do? We're just gonna take here probably. If he doesn't do anything, I don't know what he's gonna play, for example this. And we just take here, he takes, we take, and the threat is just winning the queen, and also a bigger threat is just giving mate. So okay, I played queen to e6, and now it's plus 15 for white. He can't do anything, like we said. He just moved the bishop, and now mate comes here on h7. So this was a really instructive example, I think, of using the 7th rank, and a really good example of basic plans here in these kinds of positions. If your pawn chain is facing this direction, then you should prepare pawn breaks here. Black should create some play here on the king side, but here I was really faster, as you saw with this play here on the queen side, creating weaknesses, then coming to the 7th rank, and it's just over. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. If you found it useful, please share it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.